5 men, Kyle, Aaron, Brendan, Abi, and Marlon. Alone they are just people, but together they make K.A.B.A.M News.
Good morning, ladies and gents. I'm your host, Marlon, with my co-host, Kyle. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm doing okay, Marlon. However, our nation is not.
That's right, Kyle. Our nation is slowly going to civil war. Of course, this is after the Lower South seceded from the Union.
I'm just getting word that the President Lincoln is with us. Why don't you come out, Mr. President? Last speaker, Abraham Lincoln. What do you think about the South seceding, Lincoln?
They are rebels!
That's all the time we have today for Abraham Lincoln.
We're going to take it over to Brendan now for sports.
Thanks, Marlon. Well, Thursday, the Union and the Confederates fought in the first battle of Super Bowl run. The ending score, Unionists 460 deaths and Confederates 387 deaths. Confederates won this battle. However, 1 year later, they had a rematch where Robert E. Lee led the Confederates to yet another victory. In other sports news, the Union won in the Battle of Antietam. This was the most intense game that the U.S. has ever seen. In fact, the combined score was over 600,000 deaths. Well, that wraps up the sports for this week. Let's take it over to Aaron with the top story of the day.
Thank you, Brendan. The top story of the day today, the Union winning major battles and taking control of different landmarks. The Union took control of Fort Henry, which is the first Union victory. They also ended up taking control of Nashville. Later, the Union sent out gunboats to take control of the upper Mississippi River, which eventually led to the fall of Memphis. That wraps up the news of the day. Let's take it over to A.B., who will be telling us about how the Civil War ended in Information Today.
Thanks, Aaron. Now in 1863, the Battle of Gettysburg took place. The general of the Union Army was George Meade, and the general of the Confederate Army was Robert E. Lee. The Union outnumbered the Confederate, and the Union won the war. After the Union victory in Atlanta, Georgia, President Jefferson Davis was arrested, and the South had surrendered. After this, the Civil War was over on April 9th, 1865. Let's take it back to the studio.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Marlon and I are going to talk about life during the war. But first, a word from our sponsors.
The U.S. allowed the South to break out, but why let your face do the same? With the all-new Union Pimple Be Gone.
I can't go to battle with pimples on my face, so I used Union Pimple Be Gone.
Union Pimple Be Gone. Make your flaws secede.
So during the war, President Lincoln wrote the Emancipation Proclamation. This stated that all slaves from the Confederate States were now free.
That's right, Marlon. And don't forget that African-American soldiers fought for the North, as well as women would help heal soldiers. That's all the time we have for today, folks.
We'll see you next time on K.A.B.A.M News.